Finally, Taylor Swift, your favorite hero, my favorite hero.
Oh my God.
At least so many people's favorite hero.
Taylor.
She finally tied the knot with Travis-Kelce. Apparently, it was a giant blowout in Madison Square Gardens, the capital of the world. It was difficult to actually find authoritative information on this to actually determine what actually happened here. Okay.
Yeah, I think for context, I don't think either of us watched it. We're going, we're trying to research this event as outsiders. Because correct me if you're wrong, if I'm wrong. You're not a passionate Swiftie.
I am not a Swiftie, but I'm also not a hater. I'm not a hater. I once jokingly said in my online dating days, do you remember all these like women had all these red flags? And they're like, this is a red flag. And it like got to a point where it was like comical. But I remember this one girl that I knew, young lady, and she's like, having that you like Joe Rogan is a red flag. And I was like, that's the equivalent of me saying you being a Swiftie is a red flag. Like, we know what it means, and there's a lot there, but like, come on, this is not a red flag. Like, person likes Taylor Swift. It's fine.
Lots of people like Taylor Swift. I would argue that Taylor Swift is probably the most popular. I mean, it's like most famous Americans, as far as like mass appeal celebrities, are probably Donald Trump, Taylor Swift. I don't even know who else would be second. Beyonce. Taylor Swift and Beyonce locked in a mortal battle for second place of most famous American.
That
most
could
famous
be
celebrity.
True. I actually think that Barack Obama is more famous than both of those people on the world stage. But I will share with you an anecdote from a friend of ours of the show, Dr. Strangelove. And again, I don't like to share other people's stories, but this is a funny story. He was in like backwoods Afghanistan, and that was when Michael Jackson died. Mm-hmm. And he was talking to this like village elder because that was his job. And the village was actually a little shaken up by this news. And this was like quite stunning to my friend because he's like, I remember when we rolled in, they did not know who Osama bin Laden actually was. Like that is how like remote not of touch this village was. And they were just like, just another empire rolling through here.
Yeah.
But they were very familiar with Mr. Jackson. And so I believe Michael Jackson may still be in that level.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if Taylor Swift has that kind of international appeal. But I mean, you're completely right. Like the characterization, it's different than politicians. I think maybe Trump is a little different because he was an entertainer before he was a politician. But Michael Jackson was the apex of globally famous entertainer. I remember going to India like over a decade ago, and people were telling me how much they love Michael Jackson.
Oh yeah.
I think this was again, after, a little bit after he died. So I don't know if Taylor Swift has the same global appeal, but definitely within the United States. I mean, people love this woman.
Well, maybe we're just way out of skis here because like my wife does listen to Taylor Swift a little more than I do. And I asked her, I was like, is this like, could like fans buy tickets to this? Like, was this an event where you could buy tickets? Or is she just like so well connected that they actually needed Madison Square Gardens? You've got like, I don't know, name someone famous. Like George Clooney and his wife are in the nosebleeds. Like, you know what I mean? Like, could you imagine that? Like, why would you need to do it in Madison Square Gardens? It doesn't make sense to me unless it's like actually a skeptical. I didn't see any footage from this event. I didn't see any pictures. Allegedly, according to a BBC article I read, Adam Sandler officiated. And so let me just tee it up. I actually believe that this was an elaborate decoy and she didn't get married last weekend or whatever in New York City. I think it was all fake. And I think that she and her husband to be, whatever, Travis, actually got married like in a small Italian village. Okay. And they paid like, because there were a bunch of big time celebrities that were seen going into the show. And so I think it's called a show, the wedding, whatever, the ceremony.
It's a show. Yeah,
It's a show. And so I that's what I believe. That's what I believe. I believe that they were not there. I didn't see any pictures. And I believe that they actually got married probably at about the same time because, it's like a decoy event in some small Italian village or Argentina or something like this.
So, okay, that's really interesting. So I did hear someone say that they had made arrangements, assuming that this actually happened. They had made arrangements so that, or one of the reasons they picked Madison Square Gardens is because drones would have a hard time getting in. I don't know I've never been to Madison Square Gardens. I don't know the exact details, but drone paparazzi is a thing now. And they were worried about drones trying to get into this event. But what you're saying is, like, did they not allow people to take pictures? Has anyone seen photos of this event?
I haven't seen any pictures, and I did Google them. I went and looked at a People article, which I figured would have, if there were pictures out there, that magazine
they would
have
know
them.
They would have it.
And I did not see any, and that's kind of my point. Now, what you just raised was an extremely valid point of the drone people. Because the drone people are out of control at this point. So you're right. Maybe it actually was convenient. Maybe it was actually a very small ceremony, but it was like all on the floor and it was like inside. Because then you completely could lock it down.
What would be their motivation in faking it? I guess was your not your intuition. Was your thought there that because you couldn't find photographic evidence, it probably didn't actually happen?
Or thinking
they had some other motivation to do that.
No, my thinking was because then the paparazzi people would go for the decoy. It's like a Stinger missile. The Stinger missile doesn't take out your F-16. It goes, and actually it's like you can't even last minute it. You can't even call your boy up and be like, I was wrong. It's actually in Bel Air, not not Malibu.
Out,
you know what I mean?
Metaphorical event flares in New York City.
Exactly. Have you ever seen those kind of videos of like fighter jets like avoiding like surface to air missiles? It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, where they kind of back up and just go straight vertical, shoot all their flares. So you're claiming that's what they did with an event social setup sense.
At this point, you know what? There is another play that just came to my mind, and I'm just rolling this one off the hip at this point. She is the only person I know who is not a Disney princess who has coloring books at the local supercenter. So maybe, dude, she has like coloring books and stuff like that, like Taylor Swift coloring books. I'm not making this up. They sell them at the grocery store here, like in the checkout line. Maybe the reason this is all locked down is because she's going to do one of those like Architectural Digest level publications where they have like, the giant, like, the like tome, the like codex books, and it's
so I actually think that's more likely, right? They were like, this event probably did actually happen. There are photos of it. Maybe Taylor was tired, and so she hired her clone, like brought her clone in to do it, or like one of the rubber masks or whatever, their body doubles.
That could be it. Yeah.
But I think that is probably the most likely theory because these people love to make money. They love being famous and they know how to make money. This is a business. These people are products. And this wedding is going to make, like you said, the Architectural Digest, the coffee table book of the exclusive signed Taylor Swift coffee table book is going to retail for $1,001.
I was thinking a G. I was thinking 1,000 US. Like I was thinking that base price. I mean, and something I have learned is Taylor Swift is no dummy, as you pointed out. It's definitely going to come out in some kind of collector's edition. There's going to be one with gold foil. There's going to be one with, blue. And then what's going to happen? You know what's going to happen? In 5 years, they're going to come out with another book that's like the backstage collection. And it's going to be like,
yeah, exactly.
You know what it is, dude. Well, I remember I was listening. This is when I was dating my wife, and she's like, "Do you want to listen to some Taylor Swift?" And I was like, "Sure." I actually I like a lot of her music. I thought 1989 was an incredible album. I listened to it a lot. Actually, I purchased 1989, which is
Good for you.
something for me. And I remember my wife was like, "Oh, Taylor is like re-releasing these, and they call them like Taylor's versions." And I just like look at her and I just go in like not ironically, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, as opposed to, like her original album, like that wasn't Taylor's version. And she's just like, oh my God, like you're totally right. Like, this is completely nuts. Like, she just re-released the album, threw on a couple of the B cuts, and it's like another 10 million bucks. Like, just let her rip.
These people know how to make money. They have been honing this in. They know exactly what they're doing. And they also love attention. They love to make money. They love attention. They are mass media products. I guarantee you that this wedding was planned by a committee of like 20 experts. Travis and Taylor were just sitting in this conference room, maybe even just like playing Candy Crush on their phones. And one of them is like, they have like, McKinsey is there, McKinsey's like, based on Porter's 5 forces, strategic market, whatever. the burn rate of the attention capture of, they just, are crunching the numbers, their projections. They're like, so out of these 5 venues, what would be like, this was a commercial endeavor, an industrial endeavor. But I think there's a bigger, a more important element at play than just money.
Oh, okay. What is that element?
Religion, spirituality,
religion
of the more pagan variety. Yeah. Okay. So rewind to classical antiquity. It was common for the Roman emperors, especially the more insane ones, to make claims of divinity. They're like, I want the people to worship me as a god, right? Nero, I think it was Nero, maybe it was Caligula. He was like, by the way, everyone, I'm Hercules, and I'm a god right now. And the Romans were like, oh, this is so gauche. Usually we only say that they're gods after they die. He's like, no, I'm not dead yet, but I'm already a living god.
Nice.
I think that is, there's a little bit of that in American celebrity culture, or maybe a lot of it, or maybe it's the exact same thing. I remember going to a Beyonce concert, and I want to preface this by saying I've never been a big celebrity fan. Like, there's no celebrity I've ever followed very closely. The celebrity I've been most interested in meeting and getting a signed copy of something was Daniel Yergin and his history, the prize of the oil industry from the first well drilled in Western Pennsylvania up through 1990. I was a
fascinating
fangirl.
Book. Fascinating
Great book. Daniel Yergin fangirl, right? And so I say that to say I'm out of the loop with the people that love Taylor Swift and Beyonce. Regardless, I went to a Beyonce concert, and there was very explicit goddess imagery from classical antiquity. And then it kind of clicked. I was like, Beyonce thinks she is a modern goddess in the Greco-Roman understanding. And how could you not? How could you not?
Yeah.
Back in the day, these I don't know, like the Roman emperors, again, as an example, they had such immense, all of the resources of the state, all these people, the attention was directed at them, and they probably were like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I am a god. Am I not? Right? I think that these celebrities fulfill a similar role in American society, and that may be a big hot take, but I think it's true.
I think it is a hot take. Please don't get me wrong, claiming that Beyonce is actually divine in nature, which I bet you're right. She may think about it herself. Oh, so like clarification?
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not saying that they are divine in nature, like they are. It's the more the Greco-Roman understanding of like what a god is more like, I don't know. It's not necessarily the same as the Christian conception of it, but it's like you are like an idol of worship of the people, basically. It's a little different, but sorry for interrupting.
No. I completely agree with you, and yeah, thanks for that clarification. I mean, but godlike extras. How about this? More than a human, more than just a normal person, more than just a normal person. I mean, there's no doubt about that. In some ways, they're definitely more than normal people. The question, though, is are they just like way out on the right side of the curve in some dimension that then catapults them into stardom? There's also this idea of, they just kind of got lucky. Some people are like, you're right time, right place kind of thing. Like, I actually have a buddy who met Ed Sheeran, something like that.
It's Sheeran.
I think it's Sheeran. Met him when he was an opener. And literally, they're at this show, walking out of a 1,000-seater arena. And that guy was the opener. And he walks over because he kind of felt bad because nobody was at his merch table and started talking to him. This was like circa 2011, right? And, and obviously that guy exploded. I mean, it's hard. I think he's a huge name, right? I mean, I think he's done a lot of collabs with Taylor Swift. So, I think you're onto something there. I think there's definitely an element of worship when it comes to these people, too, especially Taylor Swift, man. I mean, when you heard about the demand for her show, it was insane. The Eras tour, this last one, off the chain.
That word worship is what we use when we talk about extreme celebrity fandom. And I think that if you are the celebrity, how could you not feel godlike when you are being actively worshipped as a living person by millions and millions of people? And you have direct evidence of that. It must transform your ego, your person in very bizarre ways.
I think it does. And I don't know, man. I mean, it's almost like a joke, right? It's almost like a trope of the rock star who's kills himself or is a drug addict or alcoholic because they just can't handle that level of fame. They can't process it. Life loses a lot of meaning.
Well, she clearly can handle this level of fame, at least for now. I mean, she seems to be making remarkably lucid decisions regarding her famous life, as opposed to famous people that kind of have meltdowns, imagine a Britney Spears. But
Britney
I think that
down.
Something in that article you sent me, around your cursory research regarding this wedding from the BBC, which is funny because their equivalent of this would probably be the royal wedding, which I think is important, right? Britain has this monarchy, this aristocracy that the United States never had. But I think there's still a craving and a need for that. People want archetypal, so constitutionally in the UK, the royal family is the symbol of the nation. They're the living embodied symbol of the nation. You could make that argument that that's what this is. Someone in the article said, we worship the throne of music and football. So true.
Yeah.
And the marriage is
right, because he's a football player. Yeah. I forgot.
Swift and
I'm
Kelce
football
are from two important worlds when it comes to American pop culture and identity. If you will, it's like the yin, the female, and the yang, the male of American mass consumer entertainment have been symbolically and spiritually joined. And that coffee table book that will cost $1,000 at Barnes & Noble may actually be a religious text of 21st century America. I'm sure that's what Baudrillard would think. I wish he was around for this. He would be smoking so many cigarettes and writing unhinged rants in French.
I think you're onto something here, Don. I really do. This is a fascinating evolution of this topic, and I think you're right. Actually, I think many things we touched on. I don't think I'm right. I think my psyop, this was a fake wedding. I think that's been just plausibly debunked. It makes way more sense, the anti-drone stuff. It makes way more sense, the, architectural digest coffee style, coffee table book that retails for $1,000 and will be re-released in 5 years with the hot clips version. The religious element of it all. Yeah, no, I think you're totally right.